out of your flesh. Good luck. You cannot create self-control out of your flesh. It's painful. But we do this. We absolutely do this. So you need to understand that as we continue to dive into today, breaking sin down, you need to know that you will be set free when you understand that you cannot set yourself free, that you cannot fix yourself, that you cannot stop sinning by your own strength. About a month ago, I did a study on YouVersion, which I believe God led me to, and it broke down sin in a way that I had never seen before. It blew my mind. The man's name is David Bowden, so I'm going to go through this, but this didn't come from me. This came from this awesome guy. His name is David Bowden. And it's kind of cool how God works, because I did this YouVersion study a month ago, and I believe it was because of today. I needed it, and I really believe the church needs it. So I'm going to break this down and show you how sin works, how it is from the inside and not just, this Band-Aid that you put on to feel better, and it actually comes from the inside, and it's awesome. Are you ready? All right, so we've got sin. We all know sin. We all know what sin is, right? Please. We know what sin is. We all have it. We've all done it. We've all been there. Do not lie. Don't tell a lie. Please don't murder. Don't get angry and do something bad. I mean, sin can be defined in many ways. But we often reduce sin to just sin and temptation. So we sin because we've been tempted, right? So we've got sin, and I did this thing because I was tempted to do it. But what David says is this reducing sin and temptation is a vicious cycle, because it's so much more than temptation. If it were just about temptation, then, picture the Garden of Eden with Eve and the snake. If it were just about temptation, then the snake hypnotized her to grab the fruit, right? Can you see it now? It's like Kaa from Jungle Book. His eyes are swirling. Eat the fruit. Right? Please, it looks delicious. Or the way he put it, and I really liked this, is he said, if it were about temptation, then Satan could tempt you to eat gravel. Look at this bowl of gravel. Isn't it delicious? You know you want to eat it, right? Crunchy. Isn't that true? If sin were just temptation, then Satan could make us do all kinds of weird things we wouldn't want to do. It's so much more than that. But we sometimes reduce sin to this, and this is how we get into that cycle of fixing it. We're tempted, we sin, condemnation. I'm tempted, I sin, condemnation. Because we don't realize that it's so much more than sin and temptation. We have to get to the root. So we've got sin and temptation, where Satan wants to keep you there because he doesn't want God into your heart. He doesn't want you free from what is holding you back. So he wants to keep you in this cycle. But you have to want the gravel, to be tempted by it, and then to do it. So he breaks it down. We've got sin, we've got temptation, and the temptation came because we had a desire. So Satan can come and tempt you with your desire to eat gravel, which nobody has that, I'm sure, but you get my point. You have to desire what is being in front of you, the temptation in front of you. You have to desire something in order to be tempted to partake in it. Everybody with me? In fact, in James 1:14, it says, temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us. Flip the page here, away. That's kind of sad. I had to flip that for one word. When we do things that we don't want to do, you have to ask yourself, what is it that you truly desire? What do you desire? What is your heart telling you? Our desires do not come from an abundance of what we think we have, right? If you have enough of something, are you going to desire it? I'm sure my husband is thinking, well, then stop buying all these tops because you got plenty of them. I definitely do not lack tops. I have a top fetish. Everybody's got their things. But because of an issue of my heart, I can't stop buying tops. But if we think we have enough of something, if you think you have enough of something, are you going to desire it? No. You're not going to desire it. So, we have sin, comes from temptation, and that temptation comes from desire, but where does the desire come from? It comes from lack. Lack. When you lack something, you desire it. And when you desire it, then you're tempted. And when you're tempted, then you sin. Jesus wants to take the place of your lack. Lack. Lack is the belief that we are missing something. And this is tough because, man, we live in a world that teaches you to lack. It teaches you to lack. In 1 John 2:15, 16, it says, for the world offers only a craving for physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see, and pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but are from this world. We lack. We lack. So therefore, we find craving for physical pleasure to make it feel better. We lack. Therefore, we chase after everything we see. We lack. Therefore, we take pride in our possessions and our titles and our work and our this and our that, the pride of life. But the world cannot fulfill. Can I get an amen? Has anybody chased after all of those things and it's never enough? And you just keep going on this merry-go-round because it doesn't fulfill you. But you got to have it because it's the only thing that's taking the place of your lack. Jesus wants to take that place. We must place our heart's affections in him. And this brings us to the last breakdown of sin, the last root, and that is disbelief. Disbelief. See, we've got sin. We're tempted to sin.